Welcome to part 2 of the video screencast for GIS210, Global Positioning Systems and Digital Imagery. I'd like to spend just a few minutes giving you a little overview of our site and go over the syllabus with you. Most of you are also in the GIS 101 class, and I've done a longer screencast for that class as an introduction, and rather than repeat a lot of that material, especially in terms of the other sites that you might want to visit and things like that, I'm going to shorten it in this version. That way I can save you some repetition there. If you happen to be in just this class and not the 101 class, then what I would recommend is for you to bounce over to the YouTube page where I have a YouTube site that supplements our Momentum site, and I have the videos organized under class number in that site, and so you can follow the link that I'll provide to you in the summary of activities, and you can follow that link over to the GIS 101 introduction, and I would recommend that you watch that as well if you're not in the 101 class, and that might give you a little more information that I didn't want to repeat here for the sake of time for the majority of you that I know are in both classes. So just to be brief here, in the 210 class, just like in the 101 class, we're using the Momentum site as our primary site, but a lot of you may want to also frequently check out the Roane State homepage, the main site at roanestate.edu, and they have a lot of resources there for students, and there's links to academic calendars, for example, the bookstore, financial aid information, just a wealth of resources there that you'll want to check out. The RadarNet site is also a site that you'll use frequently, and that gets you into a personalized site for you that shows even more information. And as I mentioned in the previous video, there is a link there to information about purchasing software and things like that. And you might want to get some, if you don't have Microsoft Office, while you're not required to buy it for these classes, we use a lot of word processing and stuff in the exams and the projects and things like that in the various classes that you'll be taking in the GIS program. And it's nice to have access to PowerPoint and also to Microsoft Word, and both of those are included in the Microsoft Office suite. And again, it's very helpful. You'll find those programs on the computers in the lab for those of you that are taking some in-person classes. And if you're one of the exceptions that is only taking just some of the classes, not pursuing the degree, to where you're going to be taking everything online and 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 possibly just part of the classes, and you don't want to buy the Microsoft Office if you don't have it already, then let me know and we'll work something else out. But anyway, you can get a good discount on it there. Wanted to make you aware of that. So on our Momentum site, when you log in, and before I click log in, let me point out again, there's a link to a tutorial here about using Momentum. That's quite good. It's a YouTube video and demonstrates a lot about the Momentum site. So I'm just going to highlight the sections that I use for the classes I teach and show you how I've got those organized. When you log into Momentum, you have a customized list that shows the classes you're participating in, and you can click our class here. It should show up. If you're registered for this class, it should show up there as a link for you. When you log into our class, you will be taken to the course homepage, and it will show you the news section, and you will be given information that's just current, sort of like a current events page. I'll have a welcome screen to start with, and week by week I'll add content here that mainly pertains to updates on what's going on that week. I'll let you know, for example, that the summary of activities is ready for that week, and instruct you to go to the content section. If an exam's coming up, you'll have a reminder about that, and things like that. So it's a good page to always check first, and it happens to be the one you're taken to anyway when you first log on to our class site automatically. So always check that. Then the next most used site is the content page. And generally you'll bounce right over to the content page, and that's where I have posted all of our materials for the class. Now I do these on a weekly basis, so you will only see up to week 1 to begin with. Each week I will make active that week's materials, and of course you always have retroactive all the information available for the previous weeks throughout the semester. So we'll build this as we go, essentially. And the introductory material and the course overview is something that you'll want to see this week. And I'll have postings to the syllabus and various informations like this video and things like that there. And the references and the data sources section, we will add to that as we progress. I might not make all of that available immediately because it's not really relevant to you get a couple weeks into the class. So we'll have those pages and then our weekly materials section. And in the weekly materials section, right at the top, you'll always see a summary of activities for that week. And that takes you to a document that basically, as the title implies, it summarizes the kinds of things or the things that we're doing specifically for that week. And so it'll be organized in a format like this. For example, this is one from last year for this class. And I put the week right at the top. I put the last updated date. And then I'll put a posting date. And this is in case I need to add something to it during the week. Then it lets me put a new date there. And it gives you a way of knowing that something's been added, because if you print this document out, which I would recommend doing, putting it in a notebook, if I've added to it, I'll have a new post date, and you'll see that. So you might want to print it out again. I don't normally add to it for most weeks, but occasionally I do, and so that's why I've added this in here. And I just basically I have bullet items that just tells you specifically what to do that week, and I'll guide you to sometimes some supplemental websites and things like that, and basically just give you step by step the things that's going on that week, whether it's software you're going to need, videos to watch, exercises you might need to work on, and so forth. Okay, and and if I add something to that during the week, I'll also, beside the item list out here in the drop down, I'll put the word new beside it, and I might say updated on a certain date or something like that. So you'll have an idea that it has been updated if you're just browsing through this list, and you won't have to read everything multiple times to know if it's been updated. So just always check, at least 3, maybe 4 times a week, log on, and if you've printed something out already, then just glance at it here and make sure I don't have a new icon. If I have a new next to it, then you might want to check it out again. So, so that's how I've got that set up. Excuse me. And we have a class list link. In our class listing, you'll see the names of everybody that's in the class. If you want to send somebody an email, this is a good shortcut way to do that. You can click beside their name, and you can click the mail icon here, and it will pop up a dialog to compose an email message. And it already pre-fills the name of the respondent in there, and you can just put the subject in your material. I always ask if you send an email to me, always put in the preface subject line, put the class number. So we got GIS210, and then you can put a semicolon or a dash either way, and then just type your subject there. Okay, and the reason I ask you to put the class number in, it helps a lot when you're looking through your email to be able to sort out by class that way. So at a glance, I can see I've got an email from the 210 class. Now I'm going to bounce over into there's a separate email portion to the program that you can go to directly to view all of your email. You just click on this email link up here in the upper left, and it takes you to a page. We don't have anything in here right now since it's new, but it takes you to a page that shows you all your email messages and a little preview window down here at the bottom. I have set up folders for organizing my email over the years here on the left-hand side, and in each semester, I basically will create a separate folder for each class. And I always show this because to me, it's a lot handier to change this filter by to all. It's set by the course that you're currently looking at, which you would think would be fine, but every now and then for some reason, messages don't always show up if people are in multiple classes and things like that, because maybe, for example, you're in the 101 class and you're logged on to Momentum and you think of something about 210 and you want to send a message for the 210 class. Well, if you were in 101 when you compose that message, it may or may not show up in the 210 class folder. So I always just automatically go up here first thing when I open my email and change that to all messages. And then that way it shows anything that's new regardless of the class. And if you put the class number in the subject line, then it's real easy to sort by that and filter out what's relevant for that class. So just a little thing I found useful. Wanted to mention that to you, and it helps you to sometimes you'll miss emails occasionally if you don't filter it that way. So that's something to think about. And then we have a discussions section here. And in the discussions, not every week, but a lot of the weeks, I'll post a subject matter for you to just respond to a little bit. Like for example, this week we've got an introduce yourself section, and some weeks I won't have anything. You can see last year in week 2 we didn't have anything posted. So it's not always every week, but it is some weeks. And I'll post a reminder to it in the summary of activities if you need to do one that week or not. And if you do, normally you'll have until Sunday of that week to get it completed. I post just by rule of thumb, I try to post the new class postings every Monday by 10 o'clock in the morning. Every now and then I'll miss that timeline a little bit. Usually I don't miss the date, but sometimes the timeline I'll be a little bit late on the timeline for one reason or another. And if so, in the news section, I'll post a note saying essentially, it's in progress, check back at a certain time. If I miss the date entirely, usually I'll bump the due date on information accordingly. But normally I'm pretty prompt about that, or I try to be. And I mention all this because it's important for you to also be very prompt about responding. And normally, again, you'll have until Sunday. This week, if you can, I would like to ask that you do the introduce yourself section by Thursday or before. Because you don't have to do any reading or anything like that to complete this one. It's very easy. You just tell a little bit about yourself. Try to use more on these discussions. Try to use more than 1 or 2 sentences. Generally, by discussion, I'm looking for like a paragraph or sometimes 2. Sometimes I'll put a note in here, in 150 to 250 words, do this or that. That's just a guideline. I don't go in and count the words. But when you see something like that, I'm really looking for, a little discussion more than a sentence or 2. And so it's nice if you can contribute a little more than that. Other than that, it's hard to put a strict rule of thumb to just how much to respond. Just do whatever you think is sufficient to cover the material. You don't have to be overly long. Again, usually a paragraph or sometimes 2 is fine. So it's just a way for you to participate in the class a little bit, and we can all read each other's postings. Generally, I don't post in this area. You get enough information from me via the assignments and the videos and so forth. This is sort of your area to use, but you are required to do some discussing there as we have postings up here. So this contributes to the class participation part of your grade. Now, if you find that you miss a date, don't panic. I would rather, if you miss a date, what I'm going to do this semester, in previous semesters, those of you that had some of my classes, a lot of times I would have people asked to post late and so forth. And the only way I can do that is to come in here and reset the posting date one by one for people to do that. It's really time consuming for me and hard to do. And so this year I'm going to be a little more strict about it. Basically, I'm going to say if you miss a date, then just don't worry about that posting. Just move on to the next one. If you have to miss 1 or 2 even of these discussions, it's not going to hurt your grade hardly at all. It's only 15%, your grade going towards the entire participation phase. And the discussions is the main part of that, but we do multiple discussions, so it all gets broke down proportionally to where any one discussion is going to be a tiny fraction of your grade. So I don't want you to panic if you find that something keeps you from posting on time. I'm not saying to encourage you to do that, but I just don't want you to panic and feel like you're going to get knocked off a lot of points on your grade because you missed one discussion or something. So rather than reopen the box all the time, I'd rather just say, look, let's try to post by Sunday. And if you can't make that date, then don't worry about that one. Just move on to the next one. And that said, they will add up if you miss, multiple discussions. So try to contribute on time. And for this first week, again, try to do the introduce yourself by Thursday. The reason for that is we have to post by Friday morning of this week, this first week, we have to post a listing of who all is present in the classes. And it ties back to your, and many of you, like something like 90% of the students we were told the other day are getting some sort of financial aid. And in order for the school to release your financial aid, they have to know that you're participating in class. And so that's why this is my way of knowing that you're participating is when I see you're posting in the introduce yourself section. So try to post by Thursday. If for some reason you can't post something by Thursday, at least send me an email letting me know that you're here and you're planning to get your posting up or so forth. That way I'll know that you're present, so I can count you as such on the roster that I have to send in. So very important. Try to remember to do that. I'll put a reminder in the summary of activities about that. So that's our discussions. They'll come up again weekly. You may or may not have one. I'll let you know each week in the summary of activities. Another area that we use a lot in this class is the Dropbox. This is where you turn in your assignments, whether they're class exercises or exams or so forth. It's very easy to use. Whenever I have a posting, you'll see the due date, and all you have to do is click on the folder for that assignment, and you will be taken to an area where you can upload your assignment. And when you upload, there's a place in the notes section. If you need to, you can comment in the notes section. And it's very important, again, that you try to get everything submitted on time. If you have to miss something because you're sick or you're out of town, you can't post or whatever, let me know in advance as much as you can for that, especially if it's just a matter you're going to be out of town or something. Let me know about that, but it's important that we try to keep this very prompt as well. And if you're working on an assignment and you just can't get it completed for some reason, you're running into a problem or something like that, then at least post what you have, and that way I'll know that you're working on it. Generally, that won't be a problem. You'll be finished on time, and I don't see any problems with that. But just as a rule of thumb, again, if you run into a problem and you're at the last minute hour and you can't finish it for some reason, at least post what you have and give me a little note explaining what's going on and that kind of thing, so I'll know that you've been working on it. Hopefully we won't run into that much. Hopefully everybody will be on time, and you'll find that things are not very hard, so it all goes well. So that's the sections of the site basically. I don't use the grades. I don't use the quizzes. On our exams, I'll talk about them in a minute, how I give those, but they're a timed exam, and you'll find a link here in the Dropbox to post your results for that. So that's pretty much the momentum site. Now I'm going to bounce over to the syllabus for the class and go over that real quickly. On the syllabus, I have like I do on our summary of activities, I have a last revised date posted up at the top, and it tells you if I have to change it during the semester or make edits or an update or something, I'll post this up here when it was last revised. Pretty rare that happens, but occasionally it does, especially with the subject matter, the weekly subject matter. Sometimes if we fall a little bit behind or something, I'll go in occasionally and adjust those dates. That's at the bottom of this syllabus. At the top of the syllabus, right away, you've got my contact information. I don't have an office over in Oak Ridge because I do just the online classes. So really, I'm only available by phone or email. And so I've got that information listed for you. I list my cell phone on here because that's really the best way to reach me. And it's very important. I'm asking this year that people try to call me. If you need to call me, only call me after 5 because I'm working during the day over at UT, and it's important that I keep the two jobs separate from each other as much as I can. So try to call me after 5. If you don't need to call me, then use email. That's sort of the preferred way. I guess I would say first option, use email to contact me. If it's very urgent and for some reason the email is not going to work for you, then go ahead and call me. It's okay. Again, email is preferred, and emergencies, use the cell phone to call me. And you can call me after 5. Generally, the best time to get me is going to be from 5 to 6 or 6:30. A lot of times I'm driving on my way home from Knoxville during that time, and so I'm in the car and I can talk while I'm driving. I'll put it on speakerphone or something like that. I can't use the computer though during that time. So if it's something I need to log on or something, then it's going to be better to reach me a little later than that. I do activities with the kids and things like that, so I'm not always going to be by a computer during that time. But I will try to make myself available as much as I can for you, and try to be there if you need me. So just again, email preferred. Give me a call if you need me, and we can work it out. If you need somebody in person, um, because it's an online class, again, it's not it's not to where I'm required or even available to be in person. But a lot of times we do have somebody around that can help in person. If you are on the Oak Ridge campus, for example, you can make an appointment to meet with Pat Worth. And usually we have a tutor, a GIS tutor, and we're hoping to have one this semester as well. I haven't got that contact information yet though, and I'll let you know in class as soon as I get that information. Hopefully we'll have another one this year. That helps a lot for the students. So if the funding's available, we hopefully will have one, and I'll let you know again if that happens and when. And content, of course, is online, 15 weeks usually for the semester. It's a 3 credit hour class. And as I mentioned, I try to post new material each Monday. It's asynchronous in format, meaning that it's not live. Basically, it's set up to where you can read the materials, participate in class anytime that's convenient for you, within the guidelines being of usually a Monday to Sunday kind of thing. We start on Monday and everything's due by Sunday at 6 o'clock. So I usually do the post date at 6 o'clock on Sunday, and that just seems to be a good time for everybody. And rather than making it midnight, it's a good way, I guess, of making sure everybody finishes with enough time to get some sleep and get ready for Monday. Usually we don't cover that much material. It's not a problem. You have plenty of time during that week to get things done. But it works this way. It's more flexible, and it works with everybody's schedule. That we have a lot of folks doing a lot of different things, and so some people like myself can work a lot on the weekends, more so than during the week, and then others are would rather get everything done during the week and not work on the weekend. So this way it's more convenient for you to work on it at your leisure. So we've got the course objectives here. I'm not going to go through and read all this. I'll let you read this. We've got learning outcomes posted, things we want to accomplish with the class. Prerequisites for this class is the GIS 101, which most of you are taking concurrently with this class, and that's fine. They'll supplement each other, and a lot of times we'll repeat things from one class to another. So you'll get the same material from two different angles a lot of times, and that really helps with learning the material, I think. And we've got the topic information here. Again, I'm not going to read all of this online or on the video. You can read this. Information about a little bit of supplemental information, and we are using version 10.1 this year. I still have 10 in the old syllabus here, but it really should be 10.1. That's the version we're using. That's the latest version that's come out, and we try to only make a change in the fall semester, so that way most of you are new this semester, and you'll use 10.1 this semester and next spring, hopefully as well. even though 10.2 is technically out now. 10.1 matches our book, and that's what we're using for this, hopefully this full year. Some of you that were here last spring might be running version 10.0 already. You might still have that version installed. And unfortunately, if you do, you'll need to uninstall it and reinstall this version 10.1. And I'm sorry about that, but there's enough changes in the two that it would be safer to go ahead and do that. If you want to try 10.0 and stick with it and see if it works okay, that's up to you. But I know the book is assuming you've got version 10.1, and so that's why I'm recommending everybody go ahead and update to 10.1. And again, I apologize for that. I know it's a little bit aggravating to uninstall and reinstall the software, and I'm not trying to purposely cause problems for you. I just want to try to keep you current with at least with the book that we're using. So this software, again, if you are in the 101 class, you've heard all of this and in a lot more detail, and I demonstrated about where you can go online to download the software and so forth. So watch that video. If you're not in that class, then be sure to check out that video for a little bit more information on this software. And on the textbooks, we're using the Mastering ArcGIS this year, the 6th edition. Some of you have Mastering ArcGIS 5th edition that were in the spring classes last year, and if you do, then it's okay with me that you use that book. You don't have to go out and purchase the new version. I'm not sure, I haven't compared them one-to-one to see just how many changes there are, but usually she doesn't update the book so significantly that it drastically changes the format. Being in the 6th edition already, you know, the format is pretty well nailed down. So if you want to keep your 5th edition and work with that, that's fine with me, and that saves you a good chunk of money that you don't have to spend on the new book. If you're buying the book new for the first time, then go ahead and buy the 6th edition, then you'll have the latest version. We have another book in here that is an optional book, and it's not required, and I actually don't have it on the list from last year here. I need to add it to our list. I'm going off the old syllabus here, but the book is called get it out here so I can get all this right. The GIS210, the 20 Essential Skills. It's not very expensive compared with the other books. And again, it's optional, so you don't have to buy this book. But I like the book because it covers just a sort of a snapshot of 20 of the most commonly used skills with GIS, especially as it pertains to the ArcGIS. And it has some good summary information in it, I think. And I found it useful. I didn't want to require the book, but again, it's a nice snapshot of some of the most fundamental skills that you might use. And so if you can afford it, that book's available. And you can find that book used. I noticed the bookstore in the Harriman campus had a lot of these books, and they even had some of these in a used format. So it was only like $14 to $19, I think. The books, by the way, I know the Harriman campus has the books. Normally, we always have the books on the Oak Ridge campus as well because that's where the GIS program originates. But for some reason, the online classes, they have those books at the Roane County campus, the main campus, for some reason. And I'm not sure because I haven't been to Oak Ridge recently, but I'm assuming they're going to still have these books at Oak Ridge as well. But just wanted to let you know in case they run out or for some reason don't have them. I know they have them at Harriman because I was down there over the weekend and I saw them personally, so I know they were there. Hopefully Oak Ridge has them as well because I know that's where a lot of you originate, and so that's where they normally have them. Again, for the in-person classes, it seems like it's automatically there, and for some reason on the online, they also have them at Harriman. So they're in, I think, in both locations. But anyway, if somebody finds out differently about the Oak Ridge campus, shoot me an email and let me know. GPS unit, I mentioned some of this, I believe, in our other part one of the video. I showed you the unit that I have. Just again, Garmin is a good brand to use. It works good with our software, and whichever model of Garmin you get, I would at least recommend getting a Garmin unit if you can. And if you don't want to purchase one, again, if you have access to the Oak Ridge campus, you can borrow one for the semester from Pat Worth. So try to do that right away in case she has a limited number for some reason. Usually we have enough for the whole class, and usually in the fall we try to give priority to the students taking this class for getting those units. So if you need one and don't want to purchase one, then see Pat Worth about borrowing one, and she'll have you sign one out. And the one she has will work for sure with this class. Now, if you're going to purchase a unit, again, the main thing is to make sure you have some means of getting your data off of that unit and into the program. So if you're using Garmin, then the software we're going to use should work for that. And you could use a lot of different models. Just make sure you get a data transfer cable with your unit. Okay, and grading. In this class, the main material that we cover that gets graded are the exams. We also do exercises, and I'll supplement those with some hands-on exercises. These count for your exercise portion of the grade, which is usually it's right at let's see, in this one we're using 20%, so it's about 20% of your grade. And the exercises, as I mentioned in the 101 video, I don't typically go through and grade all the exercises. Usually the exercises are in a format that is very easy and straightforward. Um, in this class, they're not all necessarily as cookbook, so to speak, as the 101 class, but they're generally very straightforward. And it's not a matter of, oh, you missed this part and you missed this one and missed this question. It's generally a task that you're accomplishing, and you'll know if you finish the task. So there's not always a right or wrong, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And so I don't generally go through and grade that information, those submissions. If you have a problem, then what I rely on is for the students to let me know if they were having a problem with some part of the assignment. And if you're having a certain problem, then describe to me in an email the problem you were having. Give me enough detail that I can kind of understand what's going on and where you had the problem and so forth, and then I will try to help you through that. It's not very helpful if I get like an email, which I do occasionally, that says, you know, how does this look? Does this look like what you were expecting? Um, a lot of times the outcome can vary depending on how you do it, the example that you're using for your assignment and so forth. So give me a little more information than that, because a lot of what we're doing in here, it's again, if you've completed it, you'll know that you completed it. And so what I'm looking for is those students that are having problems with some part of the exercise, and then I will try to help you through that as best I can. So I want to work with you on that. But again, because there's not a right or wrong in some cases, then it's a little bit hard to just assign a grade to all the exercises. So if you've got any questions about something, then let me know in an email, either prior to the deadline for the submission, hopefully, if you're having problems, or if you turn something in it's not complete, let me know where you were having problems. And for the exams, now those are graded. We only have one in this class, which I know makes a lot of you happy, I hope. It makes me happy too. It's a lot of work to create the exams as well as take them. So in this class, we do a class project as well. So I only have one exam in here, and then we have actually two class projects. Occasionally I'll supplement, I'll adjust that, I'm sorry, to just one class project, depending on how things go and how everybody feels about it. We'll talk more about that as it gets closer. But generally, I'll do two. The first one is a real easy, real short one, doesn't take you very long to do. The second project is a little bit more involved and gives you a chance to apply the skills that you're learning, as well as to be kind of creative with your project a little more. And so the second one it counts more points. Discussions are also graded. I'm sorry, they're not graded per se. They're treated like the exercises. I just look to see that you've contributed or not, and if you contribute, then you get the points for that. So the discussions and the exercises in the class is a real easy part of your grade, is what I'm getting at here with all this. And so if you just do the work, you know, you get the points, and it's not a matter of right or wrong. You've done the work and you automatically get the points. The exam is only 15% of your grade. It's typically a traditional format, true, false, multiple choice, some short answer, a little bit of discussion. It's not very hard, but it's mainly designed to see that you absorb the material in the first part of the class, where we do a little more reading, a little more the theory side of GPS, learning how the systems work and that kind of thing. And so it's given somewhere near the first third, a little less than halfway into the class. So. First project's only worth 15% also. Second project's worth 35%. And you'll find that you'll use a good section of the last 2/3 of the class or so about that, working on this project. And not to say you're going to be working every minute on it, but I give you plenty of time, I guess is what I'm saying, to work on the second project. So I think you'll enjoy the projects. We do projects in nearly all of the classes except for the 101 class. And sometimes we only do one project. Occasionally you'll do two. Um, and, um, and students really seem to enjoy the projects. It's very hands-on, very applied. And I think personally you learn a lot more out of doing the projects than you do any of the other sections of the class. So I enjoy them too, and we'll talk more about those as they come up. Grading is pretty straightforward. I've got that listed here. Basically 90 and above is an A. Um, just wanted to point out that you do have to take the exam to get a grade, passing grade for this class. Generally, that's never been a problem, but it seemed like one year we did have that come up. And what we decided on is to just, make it a mandatory that to get a grade in the classes, you have to do the work, especially when it comes to the exams. Now, like I said earlier, if you have to miss a discussion or miss even an exercise or something, then you're not going to fail the class over that. So, but you do have to take the exams and do the projects in the classes to get a grade in the class, a passing grade in the class, that is. Class participation is really important since we're in online format. We don't have the face-to-face advantage, and so this is our way of kind of making sure everybody's staying active in the class, and it makes it a little more interesting to you as well. You can read other people's postings and so forth. One exam, again, I've got information about that here. The class projects, I'll give you a little bit of information about the class projects in here. Again, the first one is a little bit shorter and it's more of a hands-on demonstrating use of the GPS just for the sake of making sure you're understanding how to use the GPS. The second one is more of an involved project where you will actually do a GIS project and you'll collect some data for that using your GPS unit or some supplemental data that you might use in lieu of the GPS data. And we'll talk more about that later. So other information is in the syllabus that they require us to put about plagiarism. If you happen to have a disability, then Roane State has an office that will help you, and they work together with the instructors to make sure that we are able to help you with your disability in regards to taking the class. There's plenty of help at Roane State. You'll find on a lot of things. We have a great help desk that works with if you're having a problem with the momentum site for some reason or your RadarNet or anything like that, they will help you with that. Now, they're not able to help you with the GIS software. So help with that comes through the tutor and the instructor, of course. And so always let me know if you're having problems. Even if you're using a tutor and you're having problems and you're able to get help through the tutor, then it's kind of helpful to me to know that as well, that you are finding help, because I want to make sure that if you need help, you're getting help. And again, I'll let you know more information about the tutor when I get that information. But I do have the help desk number here and address posted. We also have a learning center. There's help with writing and so forth. Roane State seems to be really good about providing help, seems to me like. So I think if you're having problems, you should be able to find some help about that. Again, the one area that you don't have traditional help online or on campus is for the GIS software itself. And that's where either the tutor or myself can help with that. Or if you're having a problem with the software, just an installation issue and things like that, ESRI can help you over the phone with that a lot of times. And Pat Worth is available to meet with you in person if you have something like that come up as well. and a lot of you will be taking her classes as well. And so if it's a software issue, you'll be having that same issue in both classes. So syllabus changes. I don't have to change it very often, but every now and then the class schedule part of the syllabus, I'll have to make some adjustments to it. So I always tell people that I've got posted here as sort of our plan of attack of what we're going to do in the class, and that's changes every now and then. And if I do have to make any changes, I'll post them in red, like you see here from last year's syllabus. So if I change a date of when I give something out, like the projects or something like that, then I'll post it in here, and I'll let you know that I've made updates to the syllabus when that happens. And again, it's pretty rare that that happens, but it does occasionally happen. So this would be our plan of attack. The version of this that you see might be just a little different than this. It'd probably be very much the same, but it could be a little bit different because I haven't updated it yet to this semester. So. But I've got posted in here the holidays that are coming up as well. We've got several holidays this year, and you're not expected to have to work or come to class. If you're in person, of course, for sure, on those holidays there won't be any classes. So, but you don't have to work online either on those days. So it's up to you. If it's posted and you want to work on it, go ahead. But you know, holidays are there for a reason, the way I look at it. So so take a break those days if you can. And I've got those in here. I'll have the exam date. Again, our syllabus might not be in week 9. I have to go through and look at that first. But that, whatever I post in here for the exam, I try to stick to that week as much as I can, because I know that if you're like me, you're planning your semester from the beginning based on this information. So I'll try to stick to this as much as I can. We have a day on the exams. I'll give that on a specific date, and as we get closer to the exam, we'll nail down a date and a time for the exam. That's the only thing that we do in the class. Other than the projects, which are actually due on a certain date, okay, but you'll have, you know, a big chunk of this semester to work on especially the second one. But the exam is on a certain night of the week at a certain time, and usually it's about a 3 or 4 hour window on a Thursday or Wednesday, depending on what day works best for the majority of the class. So at some point I'll be asking you to give me some feedback about what day works best for you, and I'll try to pick a date that works for the majority of the class. If it's a date that you cannot take the test during that date, try to let me know at least a couple weeks in advance, and for sure a week in advance. Let me know, and I'll work with you on an alternate date for the test. So like I say, I try to pick a date that the majority of the class can meet, and but occasionally we can't get the one date that works for everybody. So the project due date, check the current syllabus to make sure what date this due. This is from last year, so it may or may not be on the 7th, but it'll be right around that date, very close. Project 2 is typically due in the last week. So that's it. That's the syllabus. Hopefully I've answered any questions that you have. And again, if you need some more detail on some of these issues, the Introduction in the 101 class, Part 2 for that class has a little more detailed. I didn't want to repeat everything. I just wanted to mention the stuff that was specific for this class. And there's some information in that video that if you're not in that class, then you might want to watch that video just to get that information. So, okay, I'm going to leave it with that. Good luck in the class. I hope you enjoy it. I'm really looking forward to working with all of you, and it should be an interesting semester. I think we've got some neat things planned, and working with a little newer version of the software. And so GIS is pretty dynamic, you'll find. It's changing all the time. There's new material coming out all the time, and lots of new applications that are using GIS, and so it's a really a diverse subject, used in a wide variety of fields, that is, and I think you're going to enjoy it. And so I will be back again soon. Thank you.